wealth is like seawater. The more you drink, the thirstier you become. There will always be someone who hates what you do, just hates the world and wants to take it out on some person that they see on YouTube. It's cult-like a lot of the time. That some of those crypto communities out there are, I think it's destructive for the people who are part of those cults. And I think it's destructive for the space as well, because I think it makes us look like crazy.
Do not back down. Don't admit that you're wrong. Never apologize. That's how you build a strong cult following.
They are absolutely mad. On their deathbed, no one will ever go, oh, I wish I'd spent more time arguing with people on the internet.
I am with Guy right now. I've been watching his stuff for, I think, 5 years. You have been an inspiration. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me, Bonnie.
It's great to see you in real life.
Likewise. It's always weird when you meet someone that you've seen on screen a lot, because I had this with Ben Cowan just yesterday. We met for the first time.
And you guys do live all the time.
Yeah, we've been doing lives together for about 3 years with Rob from Digital Asset News as well. I've met Rob in person. I met Rob a few years ago now, 2021, I think. But yeah, Ben and I, we'd never met before, and it's, you know, I know him pretty well, I like to think. And you meet him, and there is that weird, surreal thing of being like, there he is in 3D. You know, it's kind of strange.
There you are in 3D.
Yeah.
We had a panel together earlier, and your stories are very interesting to me. How you started and how you continue being this #1 channel in this space. Do you want to maybe tell us the story of why start a crypto channel?
Yeah, that's a good question. I often ask myself that sometimes. Why am I doing this?
Yeah.
I mean, I remember when I first heard about Bitcoin, or when I first became aware of it, because I think you tend to sort of think back, and it's like, actually, I'd probably seen the word Bitcoin, I'd probably seen the symbol around, but it hadn't registered with me. But then one day, 2013, I was living in East London, and I walked into a pub that was about 10 minutes from where I was living, from the flat, and there was a sign behind the bar saying, "We accept Bitcoin," or "Bitcoin accepted here."
Wow.
And I was like, that's interesting. So I asked the barmaid about it, and she didn't really know, but like the landlord did, or the guy who was supervising the shift did. So we kind of talked about it, and he sort of gave an outline of what it was, and I was like, that's interesting. That is worth digging into a bit more. So as I recall, I kind of went and Googled it when I got home, after a few drinks. So I was, not my sharp. I mean, it was fascinating, and like this was, about 5 years after the financial crash, and that hits the UK really hard. Obviously, it hit everywhere hard, and some places worse than the UK. But we were still reeling from that, and I remember that was a scary time. And I remember, there was talk that we were only a few hours away from cash machines, from ATMs running out, and I just thought that had always kind of haunted me ever since. And I'd become sort of more and more kind of aware that this money that we used on a day-to-day basis just was on such fragile foundations. And then the more I learned about Bitcoin, the more I learned about fiat money as well, right. And like how bad it is. My preferred method actually of consuming information is reading. I'm quite old-fashioned like that, but I noticed that there was YouTube content out there as well talking about Bitcoin. So I started watching that, and some of it was really good. These guys sort of really passionate, but quite often I found they were talking at quite a high level.
Right.
And I always thought, I'm not one of those people who takes things in first time round. I need time to think about it. So that kind of, that sort of stuck in my head. And then I started sort of writing about it, not really for any particular audience, but mostly to get my thoughts in order about it. And then that's when Nick and I were introduced by a mutual friend, Nick, the co-founder of Coin Bureau with me. And he has a background in TradFi. He understood implicitly a lot of the stuff that I was still trying to figure out myself. We started collaborating and sort of publishing stuff. And, as I said in the panel, we had a website, and we were pretty good. We were on page 1 of Google for our particular, for crypto education. But then one day, Google's algorithm changed, and we went to page 8 or 5 or whatever it was. If you're not on page 1, you don't exist.
Yeah.
So, and then we had an all-hands meeting, and there were about sort of 5 of us by this point, and it was like, well, what are we going to do? Do we rethink how we're putting out this content? Do we try and get back onto page 1? Do we produce more stuff? What is it? And I said, well, I've been watching quite a lot of YouTube videos, so maybe we could try that. It's kind of free to start a YouTube channel. It kind of went from there. Like, no one else was sort of willing to present it, and so because it was my idea, and I'd done sort of bits of performing in the past. I'd done plays and stuff at university and stuff. So I wasn't completely unfamiliar with the concept of performance. So I was like, okay, well, fine, we'll give it a go. I thought back to a lot of those videos that I'd watched, and I thought, well, they were doing some things well, they were doing some things right, but a lot of it I thought we could do better.
Yeah.
So that was always the aim, and what we wanted to do from the start was try and make it simple for someone who'd been in my position, who just heard about Bitcoin, who just heard about crypto, and I just knew that if they clicked on a video and it was straight away blockchain this and consensus mechanism this and proof of work that, you'd lose people. So we tried to talk about it in sort of simple terms that we thought everyone could understand, or most people could understand, and just start from where we started, or start from where I started in particular, knowing nothing. So that was always the goal, and just to sort of, we wanted to kind of turn the sort of professionalism dial of it. I mean, our early videos are just so bad from a quality perspective. I think the information was great, but we were learning as we went.
Right.
But the production quality was terrible because we didn't really have much money, and we didn't have sort of proper camera studio setup and stuff. So I used to shoot it in a friend of mine's living room, and it was really, really amateur. But we learned as we went. All the time we're sort of learning more about crypto, but also learning more about the business of content creation. Those two processes advanced in tandem. But we always try to keep it to that philosophy of someone is coming to this for the first time. This is the opportunity to get them and keep them interested and get them passionate about this space. And I think we achieved that. A lot of people still come up to me and say, oh, I got into crypto by watching your videos, or your videos really helped me learn about it and things like that. And it's amazing, because that's what we wanted to do. And all the other stuff about it becoming a business and a sort of wider platform, that all came later, but it just stemmed from that thing of crypto is amazing, let's talk about it and see where it goes.
During COVID, I think I started the channel because it is so difficult and complicated, and mostly in English, and it was very hard for me to explain to my mom what I learned today.
Yeah.
So then I started this channel thinking that if I push myself and force myself to study this and translate, and you have to really digest.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you really have to understand what you're saying. And I also keep in mind that, some of my audience might be a first-time newbie, and that's why I keep the language very simple. But here's the problem. So after a while, your audience grow with you. Now they are very aware of what POS is and all the terms. If you oversimplify these things, it gets boring for them. So how do you find that balance?
Yeah, that's difficult, because that's something that we still think about to this day. We're still looking, okay, people are not coming to crypto in anything like the volumes that they did in 2017 and 2021 or whatever it is, but they're still coming, and we still want to be the gateway for those people. So, and I think that's something to think about. Our content strategy is quite often geared to that. It's like, well, do we want to make a video that is going to get 100,000 views straight out the gates? And then within a week, it's kind of, the topic is no longer particularly relevant and people have moved on to another video or, another channel or whatever. Or do we want to make something that it might only get a few thousand views in the first couple of weeks, but just grows and grows and grows? And I think that's been one of the reasons why we've continued to grow and continued to get subscribers, is because we're not afraid to make that introduction to Bitcoin video, or how to use a crypto wallet video, or that evergreen stuff.
Yeah.
We've tried to focus a lot on evergreen, and you have to balance it. Sometimes you have to react to what's happening in the moment. You have to give people the information that they need right then. But I like to think that we've built a big foundation of stuff that someone might be coming to still in 3 or 4 years' time, in the next cycle, and going, oh, Bitcoin, I need to understand it. Okay, this video was made 4 years ago, but it's still, it's still as relevant as it ever was. So I think it is possible to balance that.
Have you ever been frustrated looking at your comment section? I have noticed that, since the market isn't that great, people are getting frustrated.
Yeah.
And they take it out on you. They're like, Bitcoin? What Bitcoin? Yeah. How do you deal with that?
It can be difficult because I don't read the comments. I mean, I don't read all of them, but I will generally look, because often there is, constructive stuff in there, and it is good to know how people feel.
Right.
But yeah, it is frustrating, and you do develop a bit of a thick skin after. I mean, you have to.
Yeah.
And that goes for whatever sort of content you're making, crypto content or gardening content, whatever. There will always be someone who hates what you do, or hates you, or hates, just hates the world and wants to take it out on some person that they see on YouTube. I often like to think that if someone's leaving a negative comment, that's a victory for me. If it's about me or if it's about the channel, whatever, I try to see that as a victory, because they've taken time out of their lives to vent that, and the only loser there is them. That said, constructive criticism is great. It's fine to disagree, and it shouldn't. As Ben said during our panel, we don't want to live in an echo chamber. But yeah, when someone's abusive or whatever, it is sort of. I try to see it as a reflection on them and not me. I think I tell you what, the most frustrating thing about the comment section has always been for me is that there are communities out there who are utterly deranged. Do you know what I mean? There are crypto communities who are wedded to one particular blockchain or one particular figure or things like that, and they will not hear any criticism at all. They are absolutely mad.
But they come to you and tell you
this is the thing. Like, they hate us because we might have said something honest or negative about them in the past. But they will still come and they'll be like, you said this and it's incorrect, or you said that, you hate this project or whatever. And I don't know, it annoys me because it's just it's cult-like a lot of the time. That some of those crypto communities out there are, if they're not cults, they're pretty close. And I think that's really destructive. I think it's destructive for the people who are part of those cults. And I think it's destructive for the space as well, because I think it makes us look crazy a lot of the time. And at the end of the day, there's a guy on Twitter who posts as Gwart. I don't know if and he's got a podcast as well. He's good. He's a very smart guy. He's very funny, very witty. And he posted not so long ago, he put something along the lines of like, in the future, people will look back and wonder how on earth it was that we fought each other to the death over what is essentially back office software. Do you know? So that's always stuck with me, because it's like, okay, this stuff is fascinating. It is changing the financial landscape. It is changing the world. But at the end of the day, it's software, and people lose their minds over it. I think passion is great. I love it that people are engaged with it and engaged with the mission of crypto, and are fascinated by the technology and what it can do for them. But to see how crazy they get about it sometimes, it's just like, chill out, touch grass.
I love that.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But sometimes people give me advice. They're like, you really need to have a very strong opinion. Do not back down. Don't admit that you're wrong. Never apologize. That's how you build a strong cult following. And I'm just like, I can't do that.
Do you want a cult following? Like, that is, I think it's one of those things you think, oh, it'd be great if people sort of worship the ground and walked on something like that. No, it's terrible. Like, it's crazy. You want people to engage with you and listen to what you've got to say, but like, do you want to be an object of devotion for them or whatever?
Do you?
100% no. Like, it's just like, I think anyone, you can't, human beings are very strange and wonderful in that regard. We do form not always rational attachments to people and things and ideas and philosophies. But I really think it's important at the end of the day, to have the perspective to be able to let go of that. And it's like, it's just a person on YouTube. It's just some English dude who is talking about technology. It's like, don't attach too much importance to it. You and your family and your life are more important than this.
Yes.
So I love it. I love it that people are engaged and passionate. But I think perspective is so important.
Earlier, I think in the panel, you mentioned something about we are all going to die, or our time is limited. Remember?
So yeah, one of my mantras, one of the pieces of wisdom, if you like, that I live my life by, is that on their deathbed, no one will ever go, oh, I wish I'd spent more time arguing with people on the internet. Like, I wish I'd traveled more. I wish I'd met more people. I wish I'd had more children. Whatever it is, it'll never be that. And I mean, I consider myself to be a little bit old-fashioned like this, but I am constantly amazed by how some people can literally spend hours of every precious day that they have on this beautiful planet of ours arguing with a stranger in another country over something that most of the time is totally trivial. I really do feel it's like, we are on Earth for such a short period of time. Sure, stand your ground and defend what is important to you. And it's not to say that argument isn't a great way of communicating and working out our differences and working out how we feel about things. But at the end of the day, it's not the most important thing. But for some people, it seems to be their whole life, which is crazy.
Some of the creators build their brand off arguing with people, because that's how you get all the eyeballs and stuff. So you could call that a strategy. And what you just mentioned earlier could apply to, I think, most things in life. Why are you so sad over losing one project? Or why are you sad about this interview not going well? These are all very small things. But then if I expand that, then I won't be doing anything but just to hang out.
I think it's really important, to feel it's like, well, what do you want? Do you want millions of people engaging with what you're saying and getting angry about it and stoking all that hate? Or wouldn't it be much better to just have a small community of people who are engaged with what you say, who aren't there for drama or whatever like that? I think we sometimes confuse big numbers with happiness. And actually, I think so many people try so hard to please everyone or to attract the largest number of people to their views or their platform, and they kind of lose sight of the bigger picture. We can only please so many people.
Is it true that after you reach a number or a target in wealth or in subscription, whatever that number is, you stop becoming happier? There's a cap for everything.
Well, someone said that, can't remember what the figure is, but I think certainly in the States it was proved that if you got above a certain level of wealth, or this was a while ago, it doesn't apply anymore because of inflation, but I think someone said $100,000 a year a while ago used to be the level, once you got there, life was pretty comfortable. But in order to make your life better, measurably better, you'd have to get to $1 million. The next leap would be so big. And I always remember something, I think it was Arthur Schopenhauer said, I think it was him, he said, wealth is like seawater. The more you drink, the thirstier you become. And the same is true of fame. And it is true. I think, again, we attach importance to numbers. We attach importance to kind of essentially arbitrary numbers. I'll be happy if I have $1 million. Nah. And then you get $1 million and you're like, I think I'd be happier if I had 10 million. So, but if you've got any sort of self-awareness, you'll know that if you get to $10 million, then it'll be $50, $100 million. And there are so many people out there who I think just drive themselves into the ground because they're chasing an arbitrary number in their bank account, or an arbitrary number of followers or views or engagement or anything like that. And I think, but beyond a certain point, I think you have to accept that if you're happy and in your, moisturized in your lane, then that's what you should stick at. I think I'm always wary of people who just sort of keep pushing on for some number that ultimately is kind of meaningless.
What makes you happy? Small things.
Small things. My wife.
Nice. Aww.
I have to say that.
Nice.
But
Oh, you have to.
I have to say that, but it is true. It is true. I love the mornings. I wake up really early. I wake up at about 5. And I love the quiet in the mornings before anyone else is up, when I feel generally sort of quite alert, and I get most of my best work done at that point. And yeah, I love being outdoors. I love having a good book to read. You know, I'm fairly sort of simple I'm quite easy to please, really.
It's more like your family and your private life instead of the success.
Yeah. I think success, you know, if you can say that we've achieved that, is, you know, it is helpful for sort of validating yourself, and, you know, for feeling that you've made a difference. And again, it goes back to this idea: we're on Earth for such a short amount of time. You don't want to feel like you've wasted it. If the one thing I've found from having a relatively sort of successful channel in this industry and working with so many good people, is that really it's all about what that success allows you to do. And it's the same with wealth, I think. Like, you know, if it allows you to spend more time with the people you love, doing the things that you love, then it's worth it. But again, you know, you can keep striving for a huge number, but it won't change. You know, you won't, if you've got $100 million in the bank, it doesn't buy you any more time with your family.
Someone will say you're shopping at the wrong place.
Yes. Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. You just need to adjust your perspective. But yeah, I mean, do you find that, you know, how do you find yourself attaching sort of importance to kind of to particular milestones or particular numbers?
I thought I would, but every time I reach that, I'm just like, well, okay, this is just a number, right?
Yeah.
And oftentimes I do think about what really makes me happy. It's all the little moments, playing with my dog, or, you know, hanging out with my family and, you know, talking shit about whatever with my friends. So those are the little moments. But then, you know, you're still trying to look for that balance. You can't be messing around all day because there's still, you know, work and important mission to do.
Yeah.
So I love that you're sharing this with us. You are so warm in person, honestly.
Oh,
there's like this
likewise,
very genuine personality that is the same we see on screen. And thank you for sharing that.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. Well, thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk about myself. It's one of my favorite topics. But no, it's nice. And like, look, you know, it's always nice when you meet someone like you or Ben, who is kind of the same on camera as they are, or in real life as they are on camera. Because, like, I think that's, you know, we live in a very artificial age where, you know, a lot of people aren't what they claim to be.
Ooh, they rent the same a sports car, and then we post this, you know, we're so successful.
Yeah.
But
I think it's the duty of us regular people to try and push back against that sort of stuff, because it is just nonsense. But yeah, it's lovely to have a nice chat like this, not all about crypto as well.
Yeah, this is very humane. Thank you, Guy.
Thank you, Bonnie.